The apartment felt colder than usual when I walked through the door at 11:47 p.m. Talia was sitting on our leather couch, scrolling through her phone with that vacant expression she'd perfected over the past 6 months. Her salon uniform was wrinkled, her blonde hair pulled back in a messy bun that somehow still looked intentional. She didn't look up when I dropped my laptop bag by the door. "Hey," I said, loosening my tie. "Long day at the salon?" Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. She grunted something that might have been agreement. I walked over, leaning down to give her a quick kiss on the forehead, the kind of automatic gesture married couples do without thinking. That's when she recoiled like I'd tried to brand her with a hot iron. "Don't touch me, Calvin," she snapped, finally looking up from her phone. Her green eyes were cold, distant. "I'm not playing wife tonight." I straightened up, feeling something shift inside my chest. Not heartbreak, that would come later. This was something sharper, more calculating. "Playing wife? That's an interesting way to put it." She rolled her eyes and went back to her phone. "You know what I mean? I'm tired. I've been on my feet all day dealing with demanding clients, and the last thing I need is you pawing at me the second you walk in." "Right." I walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, and grabbed a beer. The cold bottle felt good in my hands. "Well, don't worry about that anymore, Talia. You won't have to play wife again." She didn't catch the edge in my voice. She was too busy typing furiously on her phone, her manicured nails clicking against the screen. I watched her for a moment, noting how her face lit up when she read whatever message had just come through. She actually smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her in weeks. "I'm going to bed," she announced, standing up and stretching. "Don't wait up." She disappeared into our bedroom, and I heard the door lock click. That was new. I sat in my recliner, sipping my beer and thinking about the woman I'd married 3 years ago. The Talia who used to laugh at my dry jokes, who'd curl up next to me during movies, who had actually seemed to enjoy my company. That woman was gone. In her place was this stranger who treated our home like a hotel and me like an inconvenient roommate. My phone buzzed with a text from Aunt May, our 70-year-old neighbor who somehow knew everyone's business before they did. "Saw Talia coming home late again? Everything okay, dear?" I typed back, "Everything's fine, May. Just work stress." But everything wasn't fine, and as I finished my beer, listening to Talia's muffled voice through the bedroom door — she was on a phone call, speaking in hushed, intimate tones — I realized I was about to find out just how not fine things really were. The next morning, Talia rushed out of the apartment at 7:30 a.m., claiming she had an early client. She left her phone on the kitchen counter. Big mistake. See, most people don't realize that being married to a cybersecurity analyst has certain disadvantages if you're planning to live a double life. I'd set up all our devices on the same cloud network 2 years ago, ostensibly for convenience. What it really meant was that I had access to everything: photos, messages, call logs, location data. I'd never used it before, never had a reason to. But sitting there, staring at her abandoned phone as it buzzed with incoming messages, I felt that cold calculation from the night before settle into something harder. The first message preview made me freeze. "Last night was incredible. Can't wait to see you again today." I picked up the phone. No passcode. She'd removed it months ago, claiming she had nothing to hide. The sender was listed as J with a motorcycle emoji. I scrolled up through their conversation history, my coffee growing cold as I read. 3 months of messages, photos of them together at places I'd never seen, hotel receipts, intimate details about their encounters that made my stomach turn. But what really got to me were the messages about me. "He's so clueless," she'd written 2 weeks ago. "Comes home every night like nothing's changed. It's almost sad." "When are you going to leave him?" Jay had asked. "Soon. Just need to figure out the financial stuff first. He makes good money, and I want my fair share." I set the phone down and walked to my home office. My hands were steady as I logged into our joint accounts and started moving money. Not stealing. Everything I moved was legally mine, earned from my salary at Tech Secure Solutions. But our joint savings, our emergency fund, the money market account we'd been building for a house down payment, all of it went into accounts with only my name on them. Then I changed every password we shared. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Spotify. The little conveniences that make modern life comfortable. If Talia wanted to play games, she could pay for her own entertainment. But I wasn't done, not even close. I pulled up her phone's location history and cross-referenced it with her work schedule. She'd been lying about overtime for months. All those late nights at the salon were actually at the Riverside Motel on Route 9. every Tuesday and Thursday, like clockwork. Jay's profile was easy to find once I had his number. Jaxon Price, 34, owned a motorcycle repair shop called Price's Garage. His Facebook was public, full of photos of him working on bikes, drinking beer, and posing with various women, including several recent ones with my wife. But here's the interesting part. Jaxon had a girlfriend. Her name was Rina Martinez, and according to her very public social media presence, she thought she was in an exclusive relationship with her baby. I screenshotted everything, every message, every photo, every receipt. Then I compiled them into a neat folder and sent a copy to Rina with a simple message. Thought you should know what your boyfriend does on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons? My phone rang almost immediately. Unknown number. Is this Calvin? The voice was young, female, and furious. This is Calvin. This is Rina, Jaxon's girlfriend. Are these photos real? Unfortunately, yes. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. There was a long pause. Then, that snake? And your wife? She knew about me? I pulled up more messages. According to their texts, yes. She called you the little girlfriend and said you were too stupid to figure it out. The sound Rina made was somewhere between a growl and a scream. I'm going to eliminate them both. Don't do anything illegal, I said calmly, but if you're planning any social consequences, I'd appreciate a heads up. I'd hate to miss the show. She laughed, sharp and mean. Oh, honey, you're going to love what I have planned. After I hung up, I called in sick to work. Then I drove to the salon where Talia worked. Brenda's Beauty Bar, a mid-tier place that catered to middle-aged women with more money than taste. I'd met Brenda Morrison a few times at company parties. She was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who'd built her business on reliability and discretion. She also had a strict policy about employees using company time for personal business. I walked in at 10 a.m. when I knew Talia would be with a client. Calvin? Brenda looked surprised to see me. What brings you here? Talia didn't mention you were stopping by. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that. Is there somewhere private we can chat? She led me to her office in the back. I pulled out my phone and showed her the location data I'd compiled. Every time Talia had left work early, every extended lunch break, every client emergency that had taken her to the Riverside Motel. I'm not trying to cause trouble, I said as Brenda's face grew darker. But I thought you should know that Talia's been using your business as cover for her affair. Some of these timestamps show her leaving in the middle of appointments. Brenda studied the data, her jaw tightening. How long has this been going on? 3 months, minimum. Probably longer. She handed my phone back. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I'll handle it from here. I was walking to my car when I saw Talia through the salon window. She was laughing with her client, completely oblivious to the storm that was about to hit her life. My phone buzzed with a text from Rina. Just left Jaxon's garage. He's going to have a very bad day. Thanks for the intel, partner. I smiled for the first time in months. The game was just getting started. By noon, my phone was buzzing with updates. Rina had wasted no time making her move at Price's garage. According to her gleeful text messages, she'd walked into Jaxon's shop during the lunch rush and thrown a wrench at his head. Missed, but put a nice dent in his tool cabinet. You cheating piece of trash, she'd screamed, loud enough for every customer and employee to hear. 3 months with that blonde snake while I'm paying half your rent. She'd thrown his spare keys into the storm drain, spray-painted cheater on his precious Harley, and posted the photos of him with Talia all over social media before he could stop her. The local motorcycle community was tight-knit, and news traveled fast. And my phone rang. Darius, my coworker, and the closest thing I had to a best friend. Dude, what the hell is going on? I just saw your wife's face plastered all over Facebook with some biker guy. Long story, I said. Talia's been having an affair. I found out this morning. Jesus, Calvin, are you okay? I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. I'm free. What are you going to do? Nothing illegal, but I'm not going to make it easy for her either. Darius was quiet for a moment. You need help with anything? I've got vacation days saved up. Actually, yes. Can you meet me at Murphy's bar around 4? I might need backup. Backup for what? You'll see. I spent the afternoon making preparations. First, I called Eric Paulson, the divorce attorney my buddy from work had used 2 years ago. Eric had a reputation for being thorough and ruthless, exactly what I needed. I can see you today at 5, Eric said after I explained the situation. Bring everything you've got. Photos, financial records, evidence of the affair. The more documentation, the better. Next, I drove to Price's garage. Jaxon was easy to spot, 6'2", muscular, with the kind of sleeve tattoos that were supposed to look intimidating, but mostly just looked expensive. He was trying to scrub spray paint off his motorcycle while 3 of his buddies stood around making jokes. "Rough day?" I asked, walking up to the group. Jaxon looked up, his face flushed with anger and embarrassment. "Who's asking?" "Calvin Rourke. I believe you know my wife." The color drained from his face. His buddies suddenly found reasons to be somewhere else. "Look, man, I can explain." "No need," I said, pulling out my phone. "I've got all the explanation I need right here. 3 months of text messages, hotel receipts, photos. Very thorough documentation." He stepped closer, trying to intimidate me with his size. "What do you want?" "Nothing from you. You're small time, Jaxon. A grease monkey with delusions of grandeur. But I wanted to see the man who thought he could steal my wife without consequences." "I didn't steal nothing. She came to me." "You're right, she did. And now she's about to learn what that choice really costs." I started to walk away, then turned back. "Oh, and Jaxon, you might want to find a new girlfriend. Rina's got quite an arm on her." His face went red again. "You snake. You set me up." "No, you did that yourself. I just gave everyone a better view." I was in my car and pulling away when I heard him shouting obscenities at my taillights. My phone immediately started buzzing. Aunt May texting from her kitchen window. "Saw you at that motorcycle place. Everything all right, dear?" I texted back, "Just handling some business. How's the neighborhood gossip network today?" "Busy. Did you know Talia got fired from the salon? Brenda Morrison was seen escorting her out around 2 p.m. Very dramatic." Perfect. Phase 1 was complete. Murphy's Bar was the kind of place where working-class guys went to complain about their lives over cheap beer and greasy wings. Darius was already there when I arrived, nursing a Budweiser and looking confused. "Okay, explain," he said as I sat down. "What's really going on?" I filled him in on everything, the affair, the evidence, the morning's activities. His expression went from confusion to anger to something approaching admiration. "Damn, Calvin, you don't mess around." "I'm just getting started. Talia thinks she can play games with my life? Fine, but she's about to learn that I'm better at this than she is. What do you need me to do?" Before I could answer, the bar door flew open and Talia stormed in. Her hair was disheveled, her makeup smeared, and she looked like she'd been crying. She spotted me immediately and marched over, her heels clicking angrily on the wooden floor. "You bastard!" she shouted, loud enough to make the entire bar turn and stare. "You got me fired." I took a sip of my beer, not looking up. "I didn't get you fired, Talia. Your lies got you fired. I just helped Brenda see the truth." "You had no right." "I had every right. You're my wife. We're my wife. When you decided to screw around on company time, you made it my business." She was shaking with rage. "I want half of everything. The house, the savings, the retirement accounts. I'm entitled to it." Now I did look up, and I let her see the cold calculation in my eyes. "You're not entitled to anything, sweetheart. Especially not after I show a judge those text messages where you talk about taking me for everything I'm worth." Her face went white. "You went through my phone?" Cloud backup. You really should read those user agreements more carefully. Darius was watching this exchange like it was a tennis match, his beer forgotten. Half the bar was pretending not to listen while hanging on every word. Talia leaned down, her voice dropping to a hiss. "You think you're so smart, but you have no idea what I'm capable of." I smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. "Actually, I do. 3 months of detailed text messages, remember? I know exactly what you're capable of. The question is, do you know what I'm capable of?" She straightened up, her hands clenched into fists. "This isn't over." "No," I agreed. "It's not. But when it is, you're going to wish you'd just asked for a divorce instead of trying to play me for a fool." She turned and stalked out, leaving the bar buzzing with whispered conversations. Darius stared at me with something approaching awe. "Holy shit, Calvin, that was ice cold." "That was nothing. Wait until tomorrow." My phone rang as we were finishing our beers. Eric Paulson, the divorce attorney. "I've reviewed the evidence you sent," he said. "This is a slam dunk. With this level of documentation, we can probably get the divorce finalized in 60 days. She won't get alimony, and her share of marital assets will be minimal." "Good. What's the next step?" "I'll file the papers tomorrow morning. You'll need to have her served. Do you know where she'll be?" I thought about Jackson's spray-painted motorcycle and Rina's promised revenge. "She'll probably be at the Riverside Motel, room 237. That's where she's been conducting her business meetings." Eric chuckled. "I'll make sure the process server finds her there. Nothing like being served divorce papers in front of your boyfriend." After I hung up, Darius shook his head. Remind me never to cheat on my wife. You're scary when you're pissed off." "I'm not pissed off," I said, finishing my beer. "Pissed off is emotional. This is business." But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't entirely true. There was something deeply satisfying about watching Talia's carefully constructed lies crumble around her. She'd thought I was weak, predictable, easy to manipulate. She was about to learn how wrong she'd been. The next morning brought a series of delicious updates. Aunt May texted me at 7 a.m. with a blow-by-blow account of Talia's return to our apartment building the night before. Apparently, she'd tried to use her key and discovered I'd changed the locks. The screaming match she'd had with the locked door had provided entertainment for the entire third floor. "She finally left around midnight," May reported. "Looked like she was crying. Should I feel bad for her, dear?" "That's up to you," I texted back. "But remember, she's the one who chose to blow up her marriage." I was getting dressed for work when Darius called. "Dude, you need to see Facebook. This is insane." I pulled up the app on my phone and immediately saw what he meant. Rina had been busy overnight. She'd created a public post with photos of Talia and Jaxon, complete with screenshots of their text messages and a detailed timeline of their affair. The post had been shared 47 times already, and the comments were brutal. "Homewrecker," wrote one woman. "Hope her husband takes her for everything." "Jaxon Price is trash," added another. "This is the third relationship he's ruined this year." But the best comment came from Brenda Morrison. "This is why she was fired from my salon. Unprofessional conduct and time theft. Other business owners, consider yourselves warned." My phone rang while I was reading. Unknown number. "Calvin, this is Rina. We need to talk." "What's on your mind?" "Your wife and my ex-boyfriend are holed up at the Riverside Motel. They're planning something. Jackson's talking about making you pay for ruining his reputation." I felt a cold smile spread across my face. "Let them plan. I've got plans of my own." "What kind of plans?" "The kind that end with both of them wishing they'd never heard of each other. Are you free around noon?" "For this? I'll make time." I called in sick to work again. The advantage of rarely using sick days is that no one questions you when you finally do. Then I drove to Eric Paulson's office to pick up the divorce papers. "Process server will find her today," Eric assured me. "I've also filed for immediate separation of assets and a restraining order preventing her from accessing any joint accounts." "She's going to be furious." "Good. Furious people make mistakes, and we'll be ready to document every one of them." I met Rina at a coffee shop near the motel. She was smaller than I'd expected, maybe 5'4", with dark hair and the kind of intense energy that suggested she was barely containing her anger. "So what's the plan?" she asked, sliding into the booth across from me. "Simple. We give them exactly what they think they want. A confrontation. But we do it on our terms, in public, with witnesses." I liked the sound of that. I pulled out my phone and showed her the app I'd installed. GPS tracker. I can see exactly where they are at any given moment. Right now, they're at the motel, probably planning their next move. And what's our next move? We wait. Sooner or later, they'll come looking for us. When they do, we'll be ready. We didn't have to wait long. At 2:30 p.m., my phone buzzed with a location alert. Talia and Jaxon were on the move, heading toward my apartment building. I texted Aunt May, "Heads up, Talia might be coming by with her boyfriend. If things get loud, feel free to call the police." May texted back immediately, "Already got my phone ready, dear. This is better than my soap operas." Rina and I positioned ourselves in the parking lot across from my building. We had a perfect view of the entrance and plenty of witnesses. The lot served a busy shopping center, and there were people coming and going constantly. At 3:15, Jackson's pickup truck pulled into the visitor parking. Talia got out first, looking around nervously. She'd changed clothes since the bar confrontation. Now she was wearing a tight dress and heels, like she was trying to remind me what I was losing. Jaxon climbed out of the driver's side, and I could see he was pumped up for a fight. They walked to the building entrance, and I watched Talia press the buzzer for our apartment. When I didn't answer, she started pressing other buttons until someone buzzed her in. "Showtime," I said to Rina. We walked across the street and into the building. The elevator was out of order. It had been for 3 days, so they'd have to take the stairs to the third floor. We followed, staying one flight behind. I could hear Talia's voice echoing in the stairwell. "He thinks he's so smart, changing the locks, but I've got rights. That's my apartment, too." "Don't worry, baby," Jaxon replied. "We'll make him see reason." They reached my floor and started pounding on the door. I let them knock for a full minute before Rina and I appeared at the top of the stairs. "Looking for someone?" I asked. Talia spun around, her face flushing red. "Calvin, open this door right now." "Why? So you can rob me blind while your boyfriend threatens me? I don't think so." Jaxon stepped forward, trying to look intimidating. You ruined my business, you little weasel. Cost me 3 clients today. Your girlfriend ruined your business when she posted those photos. I just provided the raw materials. That's it, he snarled, lunging toward me. But Rina was ready. She stepped between us, her phone held high, recording everything. Go ahead, tough guy. Assault him on camera. See how that works out for you. Jaxon stopped short, suddenly aware that we weren't alone. Apartment doors were opening up and down the hallway as neighbors came out to see what the commotion was about. Aunt May appeared at her door, her own phone in hand. Everything all right, Calvin? She called out sweetly. Just fine, May. Talia was just leaving. I'm not going anywhere until we settle this, Talia snapped. You can't just throw away 3 years of marriage because of one mistake. One mistake? I pulled out my phone and started reading from her text messages. Let's see. Calvin's working late again. Perfect time for us to try that new position. That was from last Tuesday. He bought me flowers today. So pathetic. Can't wait to see you tonight. That was Thursday. Talia's face went white as I continued reading, my voice carrying clearly down the hallway. Every neighbor was listening now, and several were recording with their phones. Stop it, she whispered. The closeness is so much better with you than with my husband. He's so boring in bed. That one's from 2 weeks ago. Should I keep going? You snake, Jaxon growled, but he didn't move toward me. Too many witnesses, too many cameras. Here's my personal favorite, I continued. Calvin thinks we're trying to work on our marriage. He has no idea I'm planning to take him for everything he's worth and then disappear with you. That was 3 days ago, Talia. So tell me again about your one mistake. The hallway was silent, except for the sound of Talia crying. Even Jaxon looked uncomfortable now, probably realizing that his sugar mama had been planning to betray him too. I want half of everything, Talia said through her tears. I'm entitled to it. I reached into my jacket and pulled out the divorce papers. Funny thing about entitlement, sweetheart. Turns out adultery affects that. I handed her the papers. You've been served. You've got 30 days to respond. She stared at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. This can't be legal. It's very legal and very thorough. No alimony, minimal asset division, and a restraining order that goes into effect immediately. You're not allowed within 500 feet of me, my workplace, or this building. But where am I supposed to live? I looked at Jaxon, who was suddenly very interested in his shoes. That's between you and your boyfriend. Not my problem anymore. Jax? Talia turned to him, desperation creeping into her voice. Tell him we're going to fight this. Jaxon shifted uncomfortably. Look, Talia, maybe we should talk about this privately. No, she screamed. You promised me we'd be together. You said you loved me. I do, baby, but this is moving pretty fast. Moving fast? Rina laughed from behind her camera. You've been screwing her for 3 months, and now it's moving fast? The look on Jaxon's face was priceless. He'd clearly thought he was getting a nice little side piece, not a woman who expected him to support her after her divorce. Talia, I said quietly, you need to leave. Now. The restraining order is already in effect, and if you don't go voluntarily, I'll have to call the police. She looked around the hallway at all the neighbors watching her humiliation, then back at Jaxon, who was edging toward the stairs. This isn't over, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. Yes, it is, I replied. It's been over for months. You just didn't bother to tell me. They left together, but I could hear them arguing as they went down the stairs. Jaxon's voice carried clearly. You never said anything about me having to support you. I thought you had your own money. After they were gone, Aunt May came over and patted my arm. You handled that very well, dear. Very dignified. Thanks, May. Don't worry about those two. Word's already getting around the neighborhood. No one's going to have any sympathy for a cheating wife and her boyfriend. As I unlocked my apartment door, I felt lighter than I had in months. The confrontation had gone exactly as I'd hoped. Public, humiliating, and completely legal. But I wasn't done yet. Not even close. The final act began 3 days later with a phone call from Eric Paulson. We've got a problem, he said. Talia's hired Mitchell Barnes. I knew the name. Barnes was the kind of lawyer who specialized in getting results from impossible situations, particularly in messy divorce cases. He was expensive, aggressive, and very good at his job. How's she paying for him? I asked. That's the interesting part. According to my sources, Jaxon Price took out a loan against his business to pay the retainer. Seems like true love, after all. I almost felt sorry for Jaxon. Almost. What's Barnes's strategy? He's claiming emotional abuse. saying you systematically isolated Talia and drove her into the arms of another man. He wants spousal support, half the assets, and damages for intentional infliction of emotional distress. I laughed. Good luck proving that with 3 months of text messages showing her planning to take me for everything I'm worth. That's exactly what I told him, but Barnes is smart. He's going to try to make this about your reaction to the affair, not the affair itself. Paint you as the vindictive husband who couldn't handle his wife's mistake. What do you recommend? We go nuclear. Full exposure, complete documentation, and we make sure everyone knows exactly who Talia Grant really is. That evening, I met Rina at Murphy's bar. The place was busier than usual. Apparently, word of our hallway confrontation had spread, and people were curious to see the players in the local drama. Jaxon's getting cold feet, Rina reported. He's been asking around about how much divorce lawyers cost, and he's not happy about what he's hearing. How unhappy? Unhappy enough to take out a loan against his garage, but also unhappy enough to start looking at other options. What kind of options? She grinned. The kind where he dumps your wife and disappears before the bills come due. Turns out Jaxon's not as committed to true love as Talia thought. That's unfortunate for her. Gets better. I've been talking to some of his other ex-girlfriends. Turns out this is a pattern for him. He finds women who are unhappy in their relationships, promises them the world, gets them to leave their husbands or boyfriends, then bails when things get complicated. How many women? At least 4 in the past 2 years. And get this, 2 of them are willing to testify in court about his pattern of behavior. I bought Rina a drink. You've been busy. I told you I was good at this, but I saved the best for last. She pulled out her phone and showed me a screenshot. Jaxon's been texting his ex-girlfriend, Sarah. Wants to reconnect now that he's single again. He told her he was single? As of yesterday. Apparently Talia doesn't know yet. Perfect. I was starting to see how this would end. The next morning, I put the final pieces in motion. First, I called Brenda Morrison at the salon. I wanted to thank you for handling the situation with Talia so professionally. Just protecting my business, she replied, but I appreciate the call. How are you holding up? Better every day. Actually, I was wondering if you'd be willing to provide a statement for my divorce attorney about Talia's time theft and unprofessional behavior. Absolutely. That woman cost me 3 clients with her drama. I'll be happy to document everything. Next, I called my buddy Tom at the bank, where Talia and I had our accounts. Just want to make sure she hasn't tried to access anything she shouldn't. She tried yesterday, Tom confirmed. Wanted to withdraw money from your joint savings. Had to explain that the account was frozen pending legal proceedings. She was not happy. I bet. Did she say anything interesting? Just that her boyfriend was going to make me sorry if I didn't give her access to her money. I told her to have her boyfriend call our legal department. The pieces were falling into place perfectly, but I wanted one final confrontation, something public, humiliating, and absolutely devastating. I got my chance that Friday night. Aunt May called me at 8 p.m. Calvin, dear, you might want to look out your window. There's quite a scene developing in the parking lot. I looked down and saw Talia's car, or rather, what used to be her car. The repo man was loading it onto a flatbed truck while Talia stood nearby screaming at him. Jaxon was conspicuously absent. I grabbed my jacket and headed downstairs. By the time I reached the parking lot, a small crowd had gathered to watch the show. You can't take my car, Talia was shouting. I need it for work. Lady, you're 3 months behind on payments, the repo man replied calmly. Talk to the bank. She spotted me in the crowd. Calvin, tell them you'll make the payments. I walked closer, making sure everyone could hear. Why would I make payments on a car you used to drive to your boyfriend's garage? Her face crumpled. Please, I don't have anywhere else to turn. Jaxon's not answering his phone? That's because Jaxon's back with his ex-girlfriend Sarah, Rina said, appearing beside me. Has been since Tuesday. Didn't he tell you? The look of shock and betrayal on Talia's face was almost worth the 3 months of lies I'd endured. Almost. That's impossible, she whispered. He loves me. He took out a loan to pay for my lawyer. He took out a loan to get rid of you, Rina corrected. Figured it was cheaper than having you move in with him. Talia turned to me, tears streaming down her face. Calvin, please. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Can't we work this out? For just a moment, I felt a flicker of the old sympathy. This was the woman I'd married, after all, the woman I'd loved. Then I remembered her text messages, her plans to take me for everything, her laughter about how clueless I was. No, Talia, we can't work this out. You made your choice 3 months ago. Now you get to live with the consequences. The repo man finished loading her car and drove away. Talia stood in the empty parking space, sobbing, while the crowd gradually dispersed. Even Rina looked uncomfortable with the level of devastation we'd achieved. Need a ride somewhere? I asked quietly. She looked up at me with desperate hope. Would you? No, but I'll call you a cab. I pulled out my phone and dialed. While we waited for the taxi, Talia tried one more time. I know you hate me, she said, but we were happy once. That has to count for something. It did count for something. It counted for 3 years of marriage and a chance at a real life together. You threw it away for a motorcycle mechanic who was using you. I know that now. No, you don't. Even now, you're not sorry about what you did. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry it didn't work out the way you planned, but you're not sorry about the lying, the cheating, or the plan to destroy me financially. The cab arrived, and Talia climbed in without another word. I watched it drive away, carrying the last remnants of my old life with it. Rina touched my arm. You okay? I'm perfect, I said, and meant it. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks later. Talia got nothing. No alimony, no assets, no sympathy from the judge who'd read her text messages planning my financial destruction. Mitchell Barnes withdrew from the case when Jackson's loan payments stopped coming, leaving Talia to represent herself. She moved back in with her mother in Springfield. Last I heard, she was working at a discount salon and dating a guy who sold used cars. Jackson's business went under when the loan came due. Turns out true love is expensive. He's working as a mechanic for someone else now. As for me, I bought a new house with the money I'd protected from Talia's schemes. Smaller than our old place, but it's mine. All mine. No shared accounts, no joint decisions, no lies hiding behind fake smiles. I learned something important during those 6 weeks of warfare. I'm much better at playing games than I thought, and I'm absolutely ruthless when someone tries to destroy my life. Talia thought she'd married a pushover, someone she could manipulate and discard when she was done with him. Instead, she'd married someone who was smarter, more patient, and far more dangerous than she'd ever imagined. The last time I saw her was at the final divorce hearing. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. As we left the courthouse, she stopped me on the steps. I hope you're happy, she said bitterly. I considered the question seriously. Was I happy? My marriage was over, my trust in people was permanently damaged, and I'd spent 2 months systematically destroying the woman I'd once loved. Yes, I said finally. I really am. She walked away without another word, and I never saw her again. Standing on those courthouse steps, watching my ex-wife disappear into the crowd, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Complete peace. The game was over, and I'd won decisively, not through violence or illegal schemes, but through patience, intelligence, and the simple power of truth. Talia had bet everything on my weakness, my predictability, my willingness to be a victim. She'd lost that bet in the most spectacular way possible, and I'd never felt more alive.